What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another CD collection video. 10 CDs out of my collection. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting random mix. There are at least 3 or 4 different genres here, you know, out of 10 albums. So we'll go ahead and get started. First one, we have Waste of Life by Dodford. Digipack from Moribund Records, came out in 2016. As you know, Dodford, they've been around a long time, since the mid-90s, I believe. It's a decent Digipack, you know, but at least it's decent layout and shit. So yeah, been around a long time at this point. You know, I've talked a little bit about him before. Started off, I think, if I remember correctly, started out a solo project by a guy named Wrath, right? Wrath. I just talked about him last video. But yeah, you know, they've went on to become he's fleshed out a full band at this point. This release and the next one that I'm going to show, kind of a bit different from his earlier or like mid releases. This they would kind of add a little bit more of a punk vibe. Sorry, I'm gonna just keep recording because I don't want to redo this. I almost never redo anything. So yeah, a little bit more of a punk vibe added to their nihilistic, just scathing, hateful black metal. Just like many argue should be. Next we have also a newer release, although not super new at this point. We got Accursed Heritage. Now, I have listened to this a handful of times, and I think this is a compilation. Feel free to look it up and correct me, or if you're a big Dodford fan, feel free to correct me on this. But I believe it's a compilation of unreleased material, not like old unreleased material, but kind of just really right around this time. It's good stuff. It's like I said, it's got some more. This was the first thing I heard, I think, of them adding, that strong punk vibe in there. I think they'd been doing it probably a while at this point. I'm not the biggest Dodford expert, but yeah, they do this style well, man. I'm not sure how his hardcore fans feel, but I'd kind of skimmed through Dodford, over the last 10 or 15 years, and I like what they did at the beginning. I like when he did that, like he did sort of a kind of when Zasther and Leviathan and all those guys were real popular. He did an album kind of like that, where it was just it was a solo black metal album, very depressive sounding. I liked it, but they went did this punk thing, and I think it works. I think it works, yeah, incredibly well. Next, we got a couple Dokken albums. We got Under Lock and Key. I'm not the biggest Dokken fan, to be honest. I've had these for years. I think they're cool and everything. I have zero problem, with them. It's it's not like they're Bon Jovi or Poison or any of that shit. But I think Dokken are great. I'm just not the hugest fan. This is one of their earlier albums, second or third, something like that. It came out in '85. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. They also have their infamous live album. What's it called? I was gonna say Unleashed in the East. I can't read that, man. I don't know. Shit. I thought it said here on the cover somewhere. Oh yeah, Beast from the East. Sorry, I just wasted precious time there. Yeah, my case is broken. I just broke it even more. It's a good live album. I don't remember when it came out. '88, it looks like. So if this came out in '88, they probably had at least 3 or 4 albums under their belt at that point. But yeah, like I said, not the biggest Dokken fan. It is a good live album though, and it's kind of iconic, I guess, in the kind of hard rock realm. I know it's got a lot of worship over the decades. Then we have, I think from the Netherlands, right? Domini in Fury, Devil Cult. This came out on. Fuck, I can't even really tell. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read real small stuff. But came out on that label. I haven't listened to this in a long time. Oh man, not since probably around the time it came out, which I don't remember. Early to mid 2000s. Oh man, can't show that. But Oh, I want to. Have you guys seen the picture on the inside of this booklet? Let's here. I'll show you the edited version. But yeah, I can think you can imagine what he's doing there. Oh, Jesus Christ. No pun intended. Anyways, haven't listened to this in a long time. I know it's black metal from the Netherlands. The dude in this band had done some. He'd been in some kind of cult bands from early '90s Netherlands. I can't remember the names of those either, but yeah, all I remember is this was very fucking evil and twisted and weird. That's all I really remember. I need to listen to it again. Sorry I can't give a better description, but I definitely recommend it. Check it out, and then come talk to me about it if you'd like to. Next, we have both Doomstone albums. This is the first one, though I think they have 2 albums. I could be wrong. Anyway, I have 2 Doomstone albums. Those Whom Satan Hath Joined. This is my kind of my least favorite of the 2. This came out on Lost Apparition Recordings in 2017. This is a re-release. The album itself actually came out, I think, in the late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. It came out a while back. This band got on my radar basically because of King Fally of Deceased. Joined this band at some point. I can't remember if he's even on this album. He might have played drums on this. I think he plays drums on this, but don't quote me. I have a terrible memory. Doomstone, they kind of played a kind of a doom / traditional metal / this one's got even like some black and death metal influences, but it's kind of a it's kind of a doomy album, kind of stonery doomy pace. Yeah, not which isn't usually my cup of tea, and I don't think this is a great album. I think it's a decent album. I'll be honest. I mean, I only ever wanted to pick it up because of King Fally, but anyways, their other album. This one came out a little after that, I think. This is Seitan Avoid. I think this album is much better. It's got King Fally on drums, and he even does some vocal work here, I believe. This is kind of a different sounding, almost a different sounding band than the other album I showed. This is more of a evil sounding, just traditional metal. It's cool. I think the songwriting is a lot more interesting. It's just, I think it's a far superior album to that one. Better songwriting, more, it's got catchier elements, way better vocals. It's just, I think it's a cool album. As to where the other one I rarely have, ever listened to. I had 2 albums from these guys, but I must have lost one because I couldn't find it when I was preparing for this video. We got Dornan Reich in Luft Garrett's. So you guys probably know I have this strict rule about not trying to mispronounce metal albums if it's not in English. So I don't know why I just did that, but I don't edit, and we're just gonna keep rolling. It's shit like that people probably edit out of their videos every single time. Maybe someday I'll learn. But this came out on Prophecy North America. I can't remember what year. Anyways, mid 2000s probably. You might remember Dornan Reich, black metal band out of Germany. You might remember them because there was quite a bit of a buzz around this band when they were new, and even for probably 5 to 8 years. These guys had a pretty good buzz about them. A lot of people liked them, and then I just never hear anyone talk about them anymore. But black metal out of Germany. A lot of it's pretty folky. They have a decent sized discography, and they kind of would almost reinvent themselves every time they put out an album. I haven't heard them all, but I've heard a handful of them. And they started off as a pure black metal band, maybe even like symphonic. I want to say their demo was like total symphonic black metal, but I don't know that, and it's been a while since I've heard it. But they would go on to put out atmospheric, very, very atmospheric type black metal. They would even put out just neo-folk albums as well, which this one I think might be, I can't remember. Like I said, I had 2 Dornan Reich albums. One of them was like a cool kind of avant-garde type black metal, and then the other one was a pure neo-folk album, which this might be the neo-folk album. But anyways, yeah, man, I always wonder what happens when bands are totally on the hot seat, and then a couple years later, no one's talking about them. But that is kind of how fucking shit goes nowadays, which is actually really unfortunate. But next we have an album. This is probably my favorite album. Yeah, easily my favorite album in this entire stack. Sorry, Dokken, but this came out. I wish I had the date on here. This came out in the mid 2000s as well, which was a time when I wasn't new to black metal, but that was the time when I was really, really starting to delve deep down. And instead of just scratching the surface, I just went full underground at this point. And this is kind of one of my favorite albums of that era, of when I was really, really getting into black metal. Pretty cool. I would call it kind of a pagan-y symphonic black metal. Out of Germany, we got Drought, the Throne of the Depths. I can't remember what other material. These guys don't have a whole lot of material. I haven't heard really anything from them since this came out, so it's been quite some time. But it's just great for what it is. If you're a fan of symphonic black metal, definitely look into it. It's not one of those overproduced, super super modern sounding albums or anything like that. This album is pretty. It's not a super super clean production. The songwriting is just great. Great vocals. Musicianship is actually pretty good. Yeah, this is a hell of a gem. And go listen to it on YouTube or something, and then maybe you'll track down a copy. But yeah, I think a lot of you guys would dig this. And last but not least, we have, I think this is the only CD I have from Drowning the Light. I have tapes and stuff, but we got Lost Kingdoms of a Dark Age. I picked this up a year or two ago. I've only gotten around to listening to it once. And actually, I think I've tried a few times, but I always get distracted or whatever. This came out, by the way, on Obscura Abhorrence, which was a pretty cool label. I thought I remembered this being an ambient album, or dungeon synth or something like that. I apologize, if I'm wrong. I'm not the biggest Drowning the Light guy. I mean, I do like a lot of his stuff, but his discography is so huge. I've only heard maybe 10% of it. So there's the inside. Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. That is this an ambient album or like dungeon synth or something like that, or am I way off? So yeah, I don't mind. You guys can correct me on anything. I don't have an ego when it comes to that type of shit. I actually, I prefer to be corrected, because if I'm saying something that's totally not accurate, I want someone to rectify that for me. So anyways, 10 CDs. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I got many more videos coming. I've been pumping them out at a pretty decent pace, if you haven't noticed. But yeah, let's talk about these albums or whatever you want. So we'll talk soon. Cheers. Thanks for stopping by.